We're finally here, everyone. You've been on pins and needles. We made you suffer through a bunch of Bad Batch episodes. This past Wednesday, season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian, The Apostate premiered, and I know you guys were all hitting refresh on Wednesday, like where is Matthew and Rachel's commentary on this? We want to hear it. Well, we were busy. So we're back now. We're here now.
Nothing worth having comes easy, right? So, like, we made you
Yeah.
wait for it a little bit, but just think how satisfying it is in this moment, right now, when this thing you've been waiting for has finally arrived in your ears.
Yeah, let the less important internet people comment on the show. You gotta wait for the good commentary to come out. We spew fire here. We spew the truth. And now we are both very, very big fans of The Mandalorian. And I know that if any of you out there had listened to our Andor episodes, you might know at the end of that, when that show kind of wrapped up, we were very concerned, or at least one concern was, is Mandalorian season 3, is it going to be as good to us now that we have experienced the greatness that is Andor? Because, first Mandalorian's like, okay, Mandalorian's awesome. We really, really like it. But then we saw Andor, and I mean, at least for me, I think Andor blows Mandalorian out of the water, even though I love them both. I love them both. And I wanted to mention up front that I think that's kind of interesting that Star Wars has had some down, time is the wrong word, but it was kind of in a downward slope a little bit. We had
City.
Obi-Wan, not good. Book of Boba Fett, not good. But I think we're at a good place right now. Andor was spectacular. I think season 2 of Bad Batch has been really good. Has some amazing episodes in it. And now we're hoping that the train keeps on rolling here. Mandalorian, much anticipated. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling going into this first episode?
So, I mean, I definitely was excited, but doing what you're describing here of like reminding myself that this is a very different animal and that comparing anything to Andor is going to be a bummer for whatever that is. So I was excited because I love these characters, but with a little bit of a calibration for me.
Yeah.
How about you? How hype were you? I know that you had some concerns coming out of the trailer.
Yeah, some of the CG in the trailer looked a little volumey to me, especially coming off just seeing all those amazing on location, sets and stuff from Andor. Luckily, it didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to in this episode.
Good.
It was to a minimum. The CG is pretty great for a TV show in this episode, but. I'm still hyped for it. It's Star Wars. I get excited for anything Star Wars. But like you, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like manage my expectations here. I have to recalibrate, like you said, and be like, this is a completely different thing. Now, I will say that the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, when spoiler alert, Luke Skywalker shows up, one of the greatest moments in any media I've ever experienced. Like the last 15 minutes of that episode, it was just like I'm getting everything I've ever wanted. And then with Boba Fett, the 2 Mando episodes in Book of Boba Fett were great. They were awesome. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see where it all goes here, and let's get right into it. A very short episode. I mean, this first episode, I think, with you take out the previously on and the end credits, and I think it's actually under 30 minutes in length. And maybe we can discuss if that's a good or bad thing. But the Apostate, let's dive into it.
Okay, all right. So, this is season 3, chapter 17, The Apostate. So this episode opens on sort of an unnamed planet where my queen, the armorer, is working on something which turns out to be a very small, petite helmet for a foundling child about to recite their creed and officially become a Mandalorian.
Did you think this was a flashback at first?
100%. I thought this was a flashback. I was very confused when we had Ex Machina Mando show up. I was like, oh wait, no, I guess this is present time. I thought for sure, because we knew that he needed to bathe in the waters of Mandalore. They were showing us the waters of
Yeah,
Mandalore.
that's what I thought as well. So
But twist. So, but first, the ceremony gets interrupted essentially by a sea crate dragon who devours some Mandos. We get some
okay,
rocket pack fueled fight. That's pretty great.
yeah, I'm gonna say here I really didn't like this creature. I thought
Oh,
okay, now, if you look at the end of the episode and
I
they
was gonna
show the
ask.
actual like the production art for it, I
Hmm.
thought it looks a million times cooler than what they just turned it into basically a big alligator.
Yeah,
And I'm like, come on. You can have a little bit more creativity with your sea creature. Um yeah, so I was a little disappointed with how this thing looked.
that's
It's
fair.
underwhelming to me.
That's fair.
Design.
I was fine with it, but when I did see, I one of my favorite things about the episode is always those. What are they like? What's the word I'm looking for? Where they're like,
Like production art still, the
yeah,
concept art sort of
concept
stuff.
art, yes,
Yeah.
when the concept art is one of my favorite things that, because it has that great music over it and you kind of get to relive the scenes and see, like, a little bit of an alternate universe, but I did like the sort of giant snapping turtle as well. Um, so yeah, so Mando shows up, he saves the day because the honestly, the Mandalorians were, maybe outmatched by this
This
croc.
is another problem I had with this opening scene. And right off the bat, I'm just kinda like, now our good buddy Steve refuses to watch any of the previous Star Wars, but he's like, "I'm gonna get into I'm gonna watch Mandalorian season 3." I can already feel Steve's like, "It's gone off the rails." It's
Oh, no.
because I'm like, you're setting up like the Mandalorians as kind of badasses. An entire like squad of them can't take this thing down, and Mando, the quote unquote non-Mandalorian, has to save their asses. Otherwise, they all would have died. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, so going forward, I'm supposed to consider the Mandalorians like badasses going forward when a Star Wars alligator monster almost took them all out. And
Mm,
man, I don't know. I didn't like how this was set up. I
well,
would have liked them to have defeated this thing without Mando's help.
I mean, I'm having a little bit of a thought right now, and I don't know if this is true. Maybe this will be something that we kind of see over time, or maybe not. But when we last saw the armor, it kind of seemed like she was down to like one friend. And here we pick up and she's developed like a whole new tribe. Are these
Yeah.
people that are new recruits that she's added to their ranks? And maybe that's why they're not so badass. And it's like just her and the guy with the gun? Or
I
it,
don't I don't know because and that's what's also confusing about this episode because people are like, "Well, how much time has passed?"
right.
How much time? And apparently John Favreau came out in an interview said multiple years have passed since we last saw Mando and Grogu
Hmm.
in Book of Boba Fett to Mando and Grogu now, which doesn't seem to make any sense to me
It
whatsoever.
also creates a small plot hole if that's true. I mean, there's a
It
it takes a small plot hole and makes it a 5-year plot hole.
Yeah, well, and that's also the thing when we eventually see
Grief
Grief,
Karga. Yeah.
and it's like, look
That's
at the
what I'm talking
town,
about.
and Amanda's like, wow, the town sure changed quite a bit here since the last time we were here. It's no
Yeah.
longer a den of scum and villainy sort of thing. So I don't know. There's already some issues in the first scene of season 3.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing this is I think if you were to watch these episodes back to back to back to back to back, like this would be kind of a weird throwaway episode, but it's like clearly like a place like reorienting the audience into like
Setting the
the
stage.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So which is why the next scene feels a little superfluous because he goes and sits down with the armor who once again tells him what she told us in the in Book of Boba Fett
Yeah.
that he is no longer a Mandalorian. He has to be bathed in these waters, but it's impossible because the entire planet has been destroyed. Mandalorian was like, counterpoint, here is this thing that I got from the Jawas that proves that maybe there's a chance that the planet's not completely destroyed and not poisoned.
Yeah. See, again, I'm having problems. I'm having issues because I'm sitting here thinking, like, wouldn't it have been great to have seen that? Like, don't open the show with this weird alligator fight. Open the show with some random character going up and trying to sell something to the Jawas and being like, I got this from Mandalore, and show me
Mm.
how Mando came across this thing and how he got it and how he was like, oh my god, I gotta find the armor. How he knows where she is, I have no. I'm not even gonna go into that because they're supposed to be all be in hiding. Do they have like cell phones? Like, hey, armor, I'm on this planet. Go ahead and come find me, Mando,
Yeah.
when you're ready. Especially since they want nothing to do with him. I don't even know how he understands that they're there, or knows that they're there. But again, I'm not seeing stuff that I'm like, I should not be sitting here as an audience member in the first like 15 minutes of this episode being like, I would have rather seen it done this way and this way and this way
Oh,
and this way.
Matthew.
I'm a little worried. I didn't hate it. I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Your, like, spidey senses are a tingling. I got you,
Yes.
I got you. Okay, so but this basically sets up, I think, kind of the larger arc of the season that he is going to need to go back to Mandalore, and, of course, because it's essentially a giant fetch quest, he has to begin assembling all of the things that he needs to make this happen. So he hops in a ship and flies off, entering hyperspace. For fans of the
Mm.
animated series, we get a kind of a cool little moment here while he's like taking a little hyperspace nap. Grogu's checking out the sights, and he sees in the distance Purgles.
Turgle. Interestingly enough, like my fiance when she was watching, she didn't even notice it. I was
Oh,
like, "Did you
really?
see all that?" And she's like, "See what?" I'm like, "Did you see the space whales?" She's like, "Oh no, we had to rewind it." She wasn't even like focus.
Really?
Yeah, she wasn't even focusing on that. I don't know, but to her point, she hated this episode. She's like, "I thought
Oh.
this was the most boring episode of this show I've ever seen," and I was like, "Yeah, well."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, John, Dave, you're losing her. You're starting to lose some people. I'm just saying.
Okay. I was delighted to see the Purgle. Because I mean it's
Yeah,
pulling together sort of the weird mystical stuff that Rebels introduced, which I think freshens things up. And it
and you
also I'm like, are we gonna see Ezra? Are we gonna see Thrawn? Is that gonna be the big
well,
surprise in the finale? What?
you don't. Well, have you heard the rumor that's going around of
No.
who's actually? Well, I don't know if I should tell you then. But there's a big sort of leak. No one knows if it's real or not of a
Ooh.
major Star Wars character
Ooh.
de-aged who's going to be in this season of Mandalorian. But
Mm.
I don't know if you'll like it.
Mm.
If let's just say it'll
Mm.
be shrinking the universe quite a bit if that's the way they go. Um, but I think the
Mm.
Purgle are definitely there for a reason. I think they're coming back. We're gonna see them
Yeah.
later on. I'll bet Grogu makes some sort of force connection with them or something, and you'll see more of the Purgle. I think, like in the Ahsoka show
Oh,
and
for
all of
sure.
that. So
For sure.
they're setting the stage for other shows later on. I think.
I mean, I think they're making it so everything required watching, like, that is a
Yeah,
driving force that there's no way we don't get tie-in from
yeah,
Ahsoka in this,
and that
and
and what
a
it
Thrawn reveal would be freaking dope, let's be honest.
I think they would save a Thrawn reveal for Ahsoka. I think you
Hmm.
would save it
Maybe
for
Ezra?
there. I don't know. Like I feel like this season it's going to be so focused on Mando going back to Mandalore
Mhm.
and all that. It'd be weird to just throw in Thrawn or Ezra into this. I think that I think if you do get something like that, it'll be like maybe a mid-credit stinger after the very last episode is wrapped up or something, and
Gotcha.
leading into Ahsoka. But I forgot to ask you, what did you think of the recap before we even got into this? Did you feel like they explained to the audience who may not have
No.
seen Book of Boba Fett what the fuck
No.
is going on?
No, I think that's I listen, I didn't dislike this episode as much as you did, but I do think that it does a disservice to the audience that is not watching every single thing that comes out. Um, it wasn't just that there were some important plot points missing, but I mean, it actually the cliffhanger at the previous season is Grogu going off with fucking Luke Skywalker,
I
and he's
know.
just here, and everyone's just like, "Shrug."
They don't
That's
even
what that's
mention Luke in the, "Hey, this is what happened." They don't even show Luke in it.
no, it's insane, and it feels like a disservice to the audience. Like that there's some quibbles here, like, yeah, would it be cool to see this or that? Sure. But this actually feels like a disservice to the audience
Yeah.
because the result is less enjoyable for those people who are just coming in.
Yeah,
Because
and what would be the reason? Like, that's the thing I don't even understand, like, what could possibly have gone through Jon Favreau's mind that says, "We're not even gonna mention Luke Skywalker in the sort of, like, previously on, uh,
I
we
don't
won't even
know.
mention it." It's weird. It's weird. Again,
Yeah.
it's getting the show off into a very weird state.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like,
I agree. I agree. Like it robs the audience of like a very important emotional catharsis. And I'm like, do you not get what we're here for? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
those 2 episodes of Boba Fett should have been the start of this season.
Yes.
I don't know why they
I
stuck
don't
those
know.
into the Book of Boba Fett. It's
I mean,
so
I know why, because capitalism and they want to make sure like everybody watches everything and you never leave because if
yeah.
you do that you'll miss out and you can't just get in a membership during the period that Mando is playing. Like you have to keep it all the time because you'll be missing blocks of story.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. That's what's up.
I agree.
All right. So that's essentially this opening section. I mean, stuff I took from it, I do really love the armorer. So anytime she shows up, she
Oh,
has
yeah.
such an iconic design with like the pelt and the sort of everybody else has a very smooth helmet. She has her little like horns on it. She just looks awesome. So I'm in the bag when you open an episode on her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and I 100% agree because we love all these characters. We love seeing these characters do things,
Mhm.
but the problem, and in my opinion, when I have watched shows that I love, when you start watching the show just because you like being around the characters that you love, that's when they start really going downhill. Whether it's the
Mhm.
X Files or Supernatural or anything, it's like okay, the stories. There's all kinds of problems. It's not really that interesting, or they're botching whatever. But I still like to be around Sam and Dean Winchester. I like to see them interact with one another. I will suffer through this 45-minute shitty episode of Supernatural just because I like that. I'm concerned that the show might be going that route, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is possible. It's too early for me to be that worried about it yet. I do think that there's purpose to opening with her and ending the episode with Bo and kind of where they are, where her clan has expanded. We don't know
Yeah,
how, we don't know what the scenario is. Whereas it sets up an interesting dichotomy between these
yeah.
two like Mandalorian leaders. So
Yeah.
we'll get more into that.
We'll get to my problem with Bo Katan. We'll
Oh
get there.
Lord.
We'll get there.
You all right, you
It's
watch
a
your
plot point.
mouth.
It's a plot
All
point.
right,
I'm
all
just
right.
ugh.
Okay. All right. All right. So after this, he's got his plan, so he needs to go back to where it all began on Navarro. But when he arrives, things have changed significantly. As you said, it was once a den of villainy. Now gentrification has come to the Outer
Yeah.
Rim planet.
Yep.
Uh-huh, under the leadership of the now High Magistrate Grief Karga.
No, I saw an interesting thing about Grief Karga. A YouTuber was mentioning, and he's like, back in was it season one, when Moff Gideon like first shows up, and he says disgraced magistrate Grief Karga.
Oh.
There's a theory by this YouTuber is like they think that Grief Karga doesn't actually really know what he's doing, or he will slowly become corrupted again because and
Mm.
Navarro will end up what it was uh, early on, and that'll be a plot line going forward. Be
Oh,
interesting to see.
I mean, he's definitely entered his, like, Lando era to the
Yeah,
point where he has, like, the glorious cloak that's being pulled around by droids.
I
The
love those like
costuming is
droids like
awesome.
holding them off the ground. The cloak, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty into it. I kind of love he's so, like, charismatic.
Oh
He's a
yeah,
character that I definitely enjoy. So, Karga would like Mando to stick around, so he's giving him the hard sell about coming to live on Navarro. He's like, "You will be landed gentry." I'm like, "Have you met Mando? I don't think this is the sell you think it is, sir." Um,
he wants me to be the sheriff.
yes, yes. Which I mean, we still haven't got any resolution around the previous marshal. What was his name? I always just call him the All American Jedi, but I don't remember his actual name. Timothy Oliphant. Anyway,
Oh,
um,
Cobb Vanth.
yeah. Do we think Cobb Vanth survived that?
Of
What is
course,
it?
because I remember at the end of Book of Boba Fett, he's in the bacta tank, but he's got all those cybernetic
Right,
enhancements
right.
on.
Oh no, it was
So
Cad Bane. It wasn't clear if he survived or
yeah,
not.
yeah, Cad Bane. Where of course he survived.
He
They're not going to
freaking
get rid of
better have.
Cad Bane.
They better not. Okay, so yeah, we need a new marshal because as we come to learn, Cara Dune has gotten a promotion right off the show.
She's
She
in
is
special forces.
yes, because she brought in Moff Gideon. So this is a little bit of a plot point issue or a plot hole issue. I don't know if you remember, but last season, Mando told the armorer this information and now he's hearing it like it's the first time. Maybe Grief Karga is one of those people that just tells the same stories over and over again and he's you know just patronizing him a little bit. Let you go and tell me the story again. But it feels a little bit like a plot hole to me.
Yeah, did John Favreau write this episode? I'm gonna look this up.
Yes, he
Okay.
did. Hmm.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Well, we'll keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So she's gone. Good riddance. Bye bye, Cara Dune. Um, so Karga and Mando are having this like conversation when they are interrupted by pirates straight out of Galaxy Quest.
I love pirates. This is
Yes.
something I love about this episode is
Mhm.
anything with pirates, I'm in
Mhm.
1,000%. I love it,
Mhm.
and I love like the villain pirate's name is Vane. I'm like, oh, it's named after Charles Vane, Pirates of the Caribbean. He was a very classic pirate back in those swashbuckling days, and to me, I loved all of this, and
Yeah.
I really loved that it seemed like I'm sure there was some CG creatures around somewhere. It seemed like every creature that they showed in this was practical, like
Yep.
actual in a
Yep.
rubber mask or whatever, and it
Mhm.
all looked good. The world felt real, and I really appreciated that.
Me too. It's very this episode is very Jim Henson-y, and, like, anytime I'm getting Jim Henson vibes, I am in heaven, to the point where some of the characters look like straight out of Labyrinth, and I'm like, "Yes, give it to
Yeah,
me." Um, although, like, the mummy people, I don't know what they're actually called, but the are very upsetting in live action. Alright, so this is again, remember everybody, this is a space western, so we get ourselves a nice standoff between the pirates and, Mando and, Karga, and eventually everybody gets gunned down except for Vane, who's sent back to his pirate king, Dorian Shard, which is
Swamp
another
Thing.
awesome name.
Yeah,
Yes, Swamp Thing,
Swamp Thing.
essentially.
What was your reaction when you first saw that Pirate King?
Oh, I was super into it. I honestly, I all like when he was just walking around on Navarro and you were seeing all of these aliens, as much as we loved Andor, one of the things that really was missing was this element of these like goofy aliens that is like as a kid, that cantina scene were
Yeah.
so powerful and it just captured my imagination. And so being back in this world on the outer rim where there's all of this mix of alien races is so much fun. And yeah, he looked awesome.
Yeah,
He
and I for this exact same reason, because I've seen a lot of chatter online, like he looks stupid, like it looks like a bad version of Swamp Thing. But to me, I'm like, it's a new alien in
yeah,
Star Wars, and I want to know everything about this Pirate King. I
yeah.
want to know what he's doing, what his personality is like. Clearly, one of the subplots is he's going to go back
Oh
to
yeah.
Navarro and he's going to try
Oh
to
yeah.
fuck with Grief Karga. But yeah, I love the Pirate King and I love all the pirates. And
Does
even their costumes, they kind of
yeah.
look like Disney Pirates of the Caribbean, like a Jack Sparrow-ish type of
Yeah.
costume, but in the Star Wars universe. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I kept thinking of Galaxy Quest, but that is not like a read. I love that movie. So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious as we're talking about this. Do you think is Karga going to survive this season?
Oh yeah. One of my big worries about this show going forward is they're not actually going to kill anybody. Like people are just going to keep surviving through
Yeah.
all sorts of various things, and I think he survives. Yeah, but I don't think he's the High Magistrate of Navarro by the end of the season.
Okay. Yeah, if you want brutal, apparently just go watch one of the animated series. Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, once they're dispatched, we finally learn what Mando's actually here for. He wants to repair his good friend IG-11, who was reassembled and like turned into this, you know, statue of honor in the town square for his sacrifice in the first season. Karga is kind of like, what? Okay, whatever, and
Yeah.
eventually agrees. Maybe it's not such a great idea because he essentially, as soon as he's turned on, turns into the Terminator at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's this is another sort of plot point that again, I feel like undercuts the whole IG-11 story. Like him blowing himself up to save everybody felt real. It's like, "Oh, I really love that character," and that character is dead. And now
Yeah.
immediately, nope, we're bringing him right back. We're gonna get him fixed. You guys all love IG-11. We're bringing him right back. And I'm just kind of like, this is what we're doing here. Like you're undercutting the previous power of the story by
Mm.
bringing people
Mhm.
back that are dead just because why we like that character. We want Taika Waititi to make some more droid jokes.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I think your criticism on this one is pretty fair. I because it does lessen sort of the emotional impact of that loss, and it also says like there aren't really that many stakes here in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But also, it meant that I had to sit through not once but twice because I watched this episode twice in preparation for this episode of Mando saying, "That's using your head."
Yeah.
Like honestly, most of the jokes land. I was just like, "This is so dumb."
That's cringy. That's some George Lucas humor right there. Maybe they're
Ugh. Oh, the cringe. Like, I don't wanna hear Pedro Pascal's beautiful mouth make those sounds in that order. It is upsetting to me on a visceral
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. I like that IG-11 turned Terminator,
Mhm.
and try to
That
kill
part was creepy and cool,
yeah,
though.
I like that it should have ended with Mando having to destroy him. Not,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, well, let's just fix him up now and get a new chip," and again, you start it's like, "Okay, well, the one thing people liked about, Rise of Skywalker, let's bring these aliens in and let's have them fix up." I'm just like, "I don't I don't like where they're going." I just don't like where
Yeah.
it's going.
It also kind of undercuts the character growth that Mando experienced with like he has this deep hatred of droids, he discriminates against droids and like he has a personal experience that opens his mind and heart and if he's still just like no droids, that I'm like, did you really grow, sir? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I
So,
100% agree with you, and even Grief is like, "I have a million droids here. That'll
right.
be fine. They're not gonna turn evil on you or anything like that." Surely, like, go find Luke Skywalker, ask him if you could borrow R2-D2 for a while or something like that. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
no,
felt very
it's fair.
forced. Let's bring everybody back together again, and fast, very,
Yeah.
very quickly is
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The one good thing is I do really like the Anzalians, and
very cool, yeah.
they're so cute, and they're like they look just like you've seen Labyrinth, right?
Yeah.
They look just like the little caterpillar at the beginning of the
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just adorable. So, like, those scenes, seeing him, the scale of him next to that like, it's almost yeah, I don't know. It's very charming, it's very Jim Henson-y, and I love it. So
And that was a
they
funny sequence when
yeah.
Grief is like, "They said this." He's like, "I know what they say. I can hear them." Like, I understand.
Yeah.
That's good Star Wars humor right
Yes.
there.
Right, which is why I know they're too good for that other line.
Yeah.
So essentially they can fix him, but he has to get this very specific part. So new fetch quest added to the objectives list. He has to get some part that they only make for this robot, and it's very rare. And how he's gonna get it, unless the Jawas have one handy, I assume we're gonna see him have to take one out of another IG. I don't know. That seems like it's gonna be a
Oh,
challenge, though.
maybe IG-88
Yeah.
jumps into the fray somehow because I don't think IG-88 is dead in this new canon, but I'm not exactly sure. Originally, IG-88 had uploaded his entire consciousness to the Death Star, and he was going to wake up all droids in the entire universe to revolt against everybody.
Whoa.
But Luke Skywalker blew up the Death Star before he could, and that's how IG-88 died.
Hmm.
Very cool story. But
That is cool. I'm actually super familiar with IG-88, so it
yeah,
sounds like I have some more homework to do.
yeah, he's a cool droid.
Yeah. So, all right, time to go. He's got his new fetch quest. He's heading out back out into space, and along the way, he has like very cute like dad moment where he's showing like all of the little panels. But wouldn't you know it, the pirates have not been chastened by High Magistrate. They are there and they ambush him, and we get a little bit of a dogfight. With eventually Mando like throwing it into overdrive and flying right over the pirate king. So, what'd you think of this dogfight?
Uh, very Attack of the Clones. Again, it was one of those things where I'm like, I love it. This show, when they do homages to the previous Star Wars stuff, I really love it. For whatever reason, this episode felt like it just was too on the nose with everything. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, we're doing another asteroid sort of ships flying around. It's like, I'm like, can we not have anything more interesting than just the exact same stuff over and over and over? And I don't know, maybe I was in a weird mood when I watched this or something, but I'm just kind of like, I've seen this, I've seen all of this, and where's something new? Like, give me something new here. And yeah, it was fine. I mean, they're just flying around asteroids and ships are blowing up.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
fair,
I
that's
wasn't
fair.
that impressed with it, honestly.
Okay, there's one shot in it, I don't know why I liked it so much, where you see, like, the, Vane reacting to the first pirate getting shot, and it's just like him being
Yeah.
like, "Oh!" It made me laugh both times.
Yeah, and again, the pirates, even though I
Mhm.
love pirates, they don't equip or, sort of equip themselves very well in this, 'cause it's like, am I supposed to be scared of the Pirate King and all these pirates? Number 1, Mando gunned them all down on his own on the planet, then Mando guns them all down like, 6 on 1 fight in the space. I'm like, "Alright, the pirates are cool. Am I supposed to find them to be a threat at this point?
Mm,
Because I don't I when the pirates show up again, am I like, all right, well, Mando's just going to take them all out like he has the first 2 times I saw them introduced in this. So again, I'm
yeah.
just kind of like, yeah. Like if they would have gotten a hit on Mando and his starfighter is like, you know, um, damaged and he has to do something really unique to be able to get away from this pirate king, hide out or do something. I didn't get that. It's like, all right, he takes them all out and he just flies over. All
That's
right.
fair, that's fair, that's fair. I mean, they're playing all the hits, right? This is like the free
Yeah,
bird.
yeah, and I think when I watch them, like, I don't wanna see the hits, I wanna see things
Right.
progress.
That's fair. That's fair. So we get one more stop on the planet Kalabala, and we find out that this is a nearby planet to Mandalore. It's actually the homeworld of Bo-Katan Kryze's clan, and there's a Mandalorian castle on it, which is cool.
Looks cool, yeah.
Yeah, and turns out she is there. There's a very disaffected Bo-Katan.
She's just chilling on her throne.
Yep, sitting in the what is that pose called? Like the slouch of villainy?
Yeah. She's gonna be a bad guy, guys. That's what's happening.
So, yeah, her failure to secure the dark saber, has left her in a very bad mood, also without any of her, like, her, forces and the fleet of ships that they had basically taken off Moff Gideon at the end of, season 2. And they proceed to have a very tense conversation where he says he's going to go to Mandalore and she blames his people and people like him for destroying their people, like Mandalore stuff, right? They're fighting
Yeah.
about Mandalore stuff. They go their separate ways for now. She seems unconvinced that the planet is not destroyed and she
Well,
is
the whole thing
under.
is, like, it's poisoned, right? They can't
Right,
go back because, like, I guess the air and everything is poisoned, and that's part of the reason why he wants a droid to help him, so a droid can navigate potentially poisonous areas of Mandalore. That's why he's trying to get IG-11 back. That's the only droid
right.
he trusts. And so I'm going to tell you, this is where I had
Here
a
we go.
really big problem. I
This
had
is where
two.
we fight.
I had 2 gripes about this. I had
Okay.
2 gripes. So it's, one is a very minor nitpick gripe, from a creative just from a creative perspective, and the
Okay.
other is a major, major plot hole problem, or maybe not a plot hole, but it's a leap of logic that I can't quite buy. So I'll start with the very minor gripe. The very minor gripe is, Bo-Katan clearly has nobody there. There's nobody at this castle. She's lost all her clan. She's got no ships or anything. When I'm like, when I see her on that throne, I'm like, why is she dressed in full Mandalorian like armor and shit? Like, just for, again, this is a minor gripe, but I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to see what like Mandalorians wear when they're just hanging out, not preparing for battle? Like, put a little bit of creativity and like show me what Bo-Katan would just her like her lounge wear, right?
Okay.
She's hanging out in her castle. She's not planning to go fight anything. Show me what she looks like without the full Mandalorian armor on. Small gripe, but it was one of those things where I look at it, I'm like, again, how much thought and creativity went into like planning the scene out? Like, what would this character be doing? She's just sitting on the throne in full armor. Why?
Mhm.
Minor gripe.
Mhm.
The other gripe I have, uh, Mandalore is poisoned. The atmosphere is poisoned. Are you telling? And Din is like, look, I got this piece of glass. Some dude landed on the planet allegedly, and harvested it and is now selling it to Jawas or whatever. No, that can't be possible. Can't be possible. Are you telling me not a single Mandalorian has decided, let me go back to our home world just to see what the fuck happened? Because we've basically been told that the Mandalorians have scattered to the wind, right? And they have this, our whole planet has been destroyed. We can't go back because of the atmosphere is poisoned. Um, even the armor is like everything's gone. Like, go for it, dude. This is the way. Go try to bathe in the waters of Mandalore. Are you telling me that Bo-Katan never once tried to go back? I mean, the Empire's not there anymore. The planet has allegedly been destroyed. It's been stripped mined of everything. No Mandalorians have ever gone back to see if the planet has a breathable atmosphere. Because the whole setup here is Din saying, "I'm gonna go find out if this planet is really as destroyed as everybody seems to say it is." And I'm like, I cannot buy that no Mandalorian, whether it's Bo-Katan or any of the other Mandalorians that just seem to pop up all over the universe in this show, have ever attempted to go back in a ship and fly down in the atmosphere and run a scan of readings to find out if the air is breathable and whether or not they could actually go back, or to go back just to see if there were survivors, if there were other people that happened to be in one of the, maybe one dome wasn't destroyed and there's a whole group of Mandalorians still living on Mandalore. I find this, if this is sort of the crux of the show, to find out whether Mandalore is still a planet that they can all come back to, and Din is going to lead them with the dark saber. He says he's got the dark saber. We don't even see it this episode.
Mhm.
I don't know where the dark saber is. It's not even on him. It's like, well, where do you where you got this
It's in
thing
his glove
stashed?
box.
It's pretty important. It's a pretty important thing, especially in Book of Boba Fett, where we saw him wielding it constantly,
Mhm.
and training with it, with the armor, no less. I also didn't buy the fact that Bo Katan, of all people, uh, would notice that he didn't have the dark saber on him and wouldn't try to do something to him. I mean, is she pissed off at him? Is she, does she want to get that dark saber back? I'm sure we'll learn about this stuff, but the way this was presented, I didn't buy it. I'm like, no, 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 no. If Mandalore, if the Mandalorian shows up on Mandalore and the atmosphere is breathable, and it's damaged, but it's not anyway, I'm going to be like, that is awful writing. That is awful writing. At the very least, Bo Katan should have been like, uh, I did try to go back there. I have seen it firsthand. I know the air is not breathable. Not, we think it is. Well, I'm going to go double check for sure. I mean, how many years have gone by and no one's got. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox now, but I was
Well, I
really
mean,
angry with this at the end of the episode. I'm like,
I think
no.
there's some fair critique in there, but I think there's a good chance that it's poisoned. And I be only because the
Maybe.
most obvious answer is like the most formulaic answer is that it's not. But if you think about where that will put the Mandalorian character at the end of the season, if he finds out there is actually no road to redemption and he can finally like be free, well, not free, but he has no path back to being one of the children of the watch. I think that moves him in a direction where he can become the leader of like a new Mandalore.
I
Whereas
hope so.
if he can get back in good with them, like what is that, where does that leave him? It leaves him in a situation that he's got to have to make decisions about Grogu again. It means he has to go back to the armorer. Like all of those things prevent c- character progress. So I kind of feel like she's like, yeah, go die. It's fine.
I
Go,
hope
go.
so. I hope you're right. And I'll be the first one to be jumping with joy if it turns out that, oh, Mandalore is a complete, irradiated wasteland where no one can
Mhm.
survive. I don't feel like this episode didn't give me the sense that that is what's actually going to happen. It's almost got me it's got me feeling like um the Mandalorian, the guy who is no longer a Mandalorian, even though he still wields the dark saber, which he should be ruling all of Mandalore now, right?
Mhm.
Technically, everybody should follow him based on the lore. All he has to do is whip that thing out and show the armorer, and technically, all those people should come follow follow.
Well,
Um, but I don't get the sense that it's going to be like, oh, yep, Din was wrong, or this whole time, it's going to be Din's going to prove that all the other Mandalorians were wrong in thinking the way they do, and now they should follow him somehow, and it's going to become he's going to bring them all together because eventually all the Mandalorians have to come together if they're going to do a big thing against Thrawn down the road, right? You got to have a united Mandalorian clans, and they all
right.
have to unite somewhere. And they've mentioned Mandalore so much the first, 2 seasons of this, and I'm like, I don't buy that it's just going to be an irradiated wasteland where no one can survive. But I hope
Okay.
I'm wrong. I hope I'm
Uh,
wrong.
Me too. I mean, I feel like they're setting up this dichotomy between Bo and the armor, and like the armor is so zealous about her beliefs, so rigid in her beliefs, whereas Bo has gone like this totally other way. And I feel like his thing is going to be like, this is the way. Like it's a new way somewhere in between when he's no longer able to go, either direction. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I don't see him leading the Mandalorians as in his current iteration because he doesn't have like his ambition is not connected to that. I think maybe seeing Mandalore and the destruction of it, maybe that will radicalize him to some degree. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and
Yeah.
see.
There was a really interesting theory back in season one, I think I was reading online. And so this was just somebody on the internet mentioning, he's like, what if the whole Night of a Thousand Tears was just galactic propaganda, and that it
Mm,
was never like Mandalore was never actually destroyed in the way that all these Mandalorians believe, and that because the Empire is so good at propaganda and making people believe things, even in the sense that people now forget that the Jedi were a thing 20 years after they were
mhm,
fighting in battles and things of that nature. That the Empire and Palpatine has played the Mandalorians in order to keep them dispersed and spread out so that they would not be a threat to the Empire as he was going. Now, I think that'd be an awesome sort of idea if they did go with it. But we'll see. It was kind of an interesting theory.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sort of conflicts with your desire for it to
Yeah,
actually be a wasteland, but
it
yeah,
does.
yeah,
It
yeah.
does. And but it's like, but again, if you can tell it in a specific way, which I can buy it, great. I'm all for it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how the story goes as long as I can buy it. Right now, I don't buy that no Mandalorian has ever gone back to Mandalore as they were presenting it. And maybe we'll find out that many have, and many
Right,
people die. They
right.
show up and they get irradiated.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
it's like a stronghold of the Empire and they just show up and we'll see. We'll see.
Palpatine's just hanging out on
Mhm. He
Mandalore.
just rises out of the ground when they show up and is like, "Force lightning."
Yeah.
I did really actually enjoy the interactions between the 2 of them because I think there's a payoff of having watched all of Clone Wars, and there's such a rich backstory that is, you didn't have to read the books or go off canon to learn so much about the Mandalorian. So when they're having these conversations, there's like nuance and there's tension and there's irony of her being so angry about the Children of the Watch when she was a member of Death Watch. Like all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff to me feels like service to those who have followed the text.
Oh, I agree. All that stuff is cool. And I didn't like I said, I didn't hate this episode. I wasn't like, oh my god. I mean, I probably sound overly critical of this, but but I think being overly critical of something like Mandalorian is deserved when we just have seen what great writing can do.
Right.
I want to see the great type of writing and the plot and this and where everything fits and you're not seeing giant plot holes of how many years have suddenly gone by and this doesn't quite make sense. I want to see as much care and passion put into Mandalorian going forward as was put into the first season of Andor, and even
Yeah.
to a lesser
Well,
extent, Bad Batch. And I understand that those desires might be sort of unrealistic in
I
a
think you're
way.
setting yourself up for disappointment. I think Bad Batch is a better barometer where there's going to be some off episodes and some great episodes, but the like sum total will be like I enjoyed this.
Yeah, and I hope so. Did you think the episode was too short?
Yes, I did. I know we were talking about doing a double episode and I was like, I don't think I can. I have so much to do because I thought they had put out 2 episodes and they'd only put out 1 and then it was like a 20-minute episode. I was like, I guess I probably could have done
Yeah, it's super,
that.
super short. I don't mind short. I know there's a lot of people complaining online about how short, and they've done that the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. How
Mhm.
short a lot of the episodes are. I don't mind short episodes if the story is tight and they're sort of they're leading me on a path that I'm willing to follow because so many shows just have superfluous crap in them. Like we don't need any of this stuff.
Yeah,
Just make it tight and targeted, directed in a certain way, and I'll be good. Doesn't matter if it's 20 minutes, if it's jam packed full of great stuff. I mean, there are Bad Batch episodes 7 and 8 of this season. Those are like 25 minutes long. You know how
right.
much shit is packed into those
Yeah.
episodes? I'm fine. It doesn't need to be, an hour and 15 minutes each one. But for some reason, this, and maybe it's because I've seen this described as getting off to a very quote unquote like slow start or
Mm,
an unimpressive start,
mm,
whereas the premieres of season 1 and season 2 were more like whiz bang. Interesting things are happening. Like, oh wow, this was again setting the stage for episode 2. I hope that episode 2 gets us back to
mhm.
what we're used to seeing in quality of the Mandalorian. Because again, I didn't hate it. If I was going to give this a rating, I'd be like, I'd give it like maybe a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. It was just, it
Mhm.
was there. It gave me the backstory. But again, there's so much stuff I wanted to see. Like, I wanted to. How about this? Here's a great idea. How about instead of having the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, two episodes of Mandalorian, why didn't we have 2 episodes of what the fuck happened with Bo Katan and how Bo Katan lost
Yeah,
trust of all of her Mandalorians and had to go back? And then we see the last episode, of that Bo Katan has to go back to her castle, like, in disgrace or whatever. I would have loved to have seen that. I don't want to be told it happened. Show it
mhm.
to me. I don't want to be told that Din has the dark saber somewhere. Show me what he did with it. I don't want to be told that somebody found some artifact or relic on the surface of Mandalore because it. Show me it. Show,
Sounds
don't
like you'd
tell.
like more runtime. That's what I'm
I
hearing.
would. Well, and that's a perfect thing. Like, yeah, don't give me this 30-minute nonsense. Disney's got plenty of money. Everyone subscribing to Disney Plus is just
Yeah,
subscribing for this show. This is the
yeah,
moneymaker show. I mean,
yeah,
come on now. But,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I came away from this very entertained by it. Like I think I set myself up for success by lowering my expectations from Andor. But I felt like it kind of hit all the sort of elements of a Mandalorian episode that I want from now.
Yeah.
If they're all like this, I'm going to revisit my opinion. But I got cute Grogu. I got some cute moments between the two of them. We had some action beats. It did some world setting. I got to see Bo-Katan, who I love. So I got some laughs. It was a charming, very low stakes kind of
Yeah.
return to the world.
Yeah.
Do I want more moving forward? 1,000,000%. But I'm not panicking yet because I did enjoy myself and I watched it twice, except for that one
Yeah.
terrible line.
I think what's also interesting is he basically said nothing about Grogu this entire episode, which
I
is
mean,
so
Grogu is
weird.
cute.
Yeah,
He's cute.
it's so weird coming off his arc in Book of Boba Fett. To he's just basically
Mm.
used as background sort of noise here.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
He ate an M&M.
he'll force pull an M&M. He'll force him so like chair to spin around. Okay, cute, cute, but is that what Grogu is going to be the rest of the season? Just kind of like, hey,
I don't
we need a quick pop. Let's cut to Grogu's face as he looks back and forth at people.
yeah.
Grogu at this point feels like, I mean, he's been training with Luke Skywalker, and like multiple years allegedly have gone by. I feel like Grogu should be getting to, a more important aspect of what's going on, and maybe he will. And
Yeah.
maybe this was just
Let's
like,
let's give it another episode.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
let's before we panic. Like I hear you and I validate your feelings, but I think this was such a place setting episode that
yeah,
I would be shocked if it is really representative
yeah.
of what.
I'm not
But if it
panicking.
is,
I'm not
I will
panic.
join you
I'm
in
deeply
Panicville.
concerned. I'm deeply concerned right now, and
I'm not
especially
mad
if,
at you. I'm just disappointed.
yeah, especially if this alleged leak of a character
Oh
coming back
no, I'm
into this
not
season.
happy.
If that happens,
All
I'm
right,
gonna I'm
de-aged. It's gotta be freaking Han Solo or some bullshit like that. Is it freaking Han Solo? God damn it.
That's the alleged rumor. Now I don't
God.
know. No one knows if it's true or not. No one knows if it's true or not.
Unless it's, like, actually just footage from Indiana Jones and he's in the background, I'm gonna be really
Yeah,
upset.
I can live with Luke showing up because that makes sense for this kind of world, right? You got
Yeah.
Grogu, a force sensitive being. Luke's trying to restart the Jedi Order. I get that. If you throw a pop in there like, hey, here's Han Solo, like Mando lands at a
Is
port,
that why we have freaking pirates this season?
it could be.
No!
I don't know. I mean, are they going to bring Lando into this at some point? Like, are they going to start like pigeonholing original trilogy characters? Because I mean, to be fair, the de-aging technology is getting pretty incredible. And
Not in Scream.
Kathleen Kennedy was like, "Look, we're never going to recast an original trilogy person ever again. I mean, they're just going to de-age them if they need to, or use
Oh,
AI
Lord.
and shit like that." Uh,
Can we just pull from, like, Rebels or, I don't know, introduce a new
well, again,
character?
it's just a rumor. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. People throw
Okay.
out rumors all the time, but I don't want them to.
Get ready for me to be salty as hell if this is true.
I mean, if this is the way they're going with the season, I'm going to be a little. I'm gonna be more upset that I'm gonna have to admit to Steve he was right. That's what
No.
I really don't
Here's the
want.
thing, let's make a pact right now. No matter how we really feel, we're gonna tell him it's 10 out of 10.
He'll go back and listen to these episodes just to
Well,
get.
then that's a win all by itself
Yeah,
because we made you look.
yeah. All right, folks. Let us leave a comment. Let us know, what did you think of this first episode of Mandalorian. Rachel liked it a little more than I did, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't think it was terrible or anything. I just wanted more, and maybe that's my fault. That's a me problem if I'm wanting more after what I've seen lately, what Star Wars has been giving us. But it's
Yeah.
just the first episode. Let's see. I think, is
Let's
there a
see.
total of 8 this season? So there's 7 more episodes. I did watch a YouTuber who saw episode 2,
Mhm.
and he says episode 2 is supposed to be way better than this opening, because I guess he went to the
Mhm.
premiere in Hollywood, and they showed the first episode and the second episode, and he's like, the second episode is a lot better. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah. That's why
Um,
I thought it was 2 because they, like, sent me 2, and it's that second one's been burning a hole in my inbox, but I didn't watch it because I didn't wanna, like, tip my hand for this.
oh, okay. See, you get all these things before me. That's just not fair. Not fair.
Ah, finally, the
Episode
student
2
has
is where
become
Han
the
shows
master.
up.
God damn
No, I'm just kidding.
it.
So leave a comment, folks. What did you think of the Mandalorian premiere, season 3? And we'll be back next Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whenever Rachel's got some time. We'll be back to talk about episode 2 and see if it's better or worse. Will I be
Mhm.
crying after episode 2? Will I drop off and let Rachel do the show by herself? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh god.